So hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session where we're going to talk about everything you need to know about studying at UBC Engineering. So this session is designed for our prospective students who are considering applying to UBC. Now, if you've already applied, you're welcome to stay, but you probably have already heard some of this information already. Now, my name is Franco Fung. Happy to have you all here with us here today. I'm a student recruitment officer for UBC Engineering at UBC's Vancouver campus, and my role is to help you with any questions you have about studying at UBC Engineering. Now, today I'm not here alone. I also have Juliana and Marie here with me. Marie, do you want to introduce yourself first?
I'm Marie Reed. I'm an engineering advisor from the UBC Okanagan campus. So, like Franco, I'm here to answer any questions you have about the engineering programs at the UBC Okanagan campus or connect you with the right department if you have a question outside of our purview. I'll pass it over to Juliana.
Thank you, Marie. Hello, everyone. My name is Juliana. I am entering third year environmental engineering at the Vancouver campus. I am very passionate about UBC engineering, student life, the balance that we have here, and a few things involved in are I'm currently working as the engineering events assistant through the Work Learn program. I am enrolled in the co-op program, and I am also the VP internal of the Thunderbird dance team. So I am here to answer any of your student life questions and make myself helpful in any way I can.
Awesome. Thank you both. So yeah, we have a lot to share with you today, but let's first talk about the land our campuses are built on. So both UBC's campuses are built on lands that have been home to Indigenous peoples for thousands of years. I would like to acknowledge that the land that UBC Vancouver's campus is built on, the place where we work, learn, connect, and innovate, is on the unceded ancestral and traditional territories of the Musqueam peoples. When we look at our Okanagan campus is situated in the territories of the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their peoples. And I also like to take an opportunity to acknowledge the lands that you might be joining us from. You may be joining us from today from many places near and far. And I'd like to also acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands as well. Now, a few notes before we go and dive into today's session. A reminder that there are a few functions to help customize your experience with us here today. So if you're finding that you can't hear us properly, maybe you're experiencing some audio and video issues, I do invite you to check your audio settings below at the audio and video button. If you are still experiencing issues after trying to adjust those, please let us know and we can help you troubleshoot. Now, of course, this session is, of course, designed for you. So please feel free to submit your questions through the Q&A box below. What I do ask from all of you here today is there are a lot of you and a few of us. So I ask you to please submit your question once so we have an opportunity to get to it. We're going to try our best to get to as many questions as possible. You also have the ability to upvote questions. So if you see another question that is something that you want to get answered as well, please feel free to upvote those. We're going to be taking the most popular questions near the end of our session and getting answers to those. If you need this, closed captioning is also enabled. So you can enable this by clicking on the closed captioning button at the bottom of the screen. And finally, if you're not able to stay with us throughout the whole session, a full recording of this session will be shared on our YouTube channel in just a few days. Awesome. So should we get started? Let's dive into it. So the first thing that I think let's start off with talking about what do engineers do? So some of you may have an idea. On the screen, we already give you the answer. Maybe I think we'll adjust that for next time. But engineers use their knowledge of the fundamentals of science and math to be able to solve complex problems. So ultimately, engineers are creative problem solvers. You'll be using skills like empathy and creativity to be able to consider the problem that is in front of you and be able to come up with potential solutions from many different angles, right? To make sure the work that you do meets the needs of everyone that is involved. So assuming that you're here, I'm sure you're thinking that if engineering is a right fit for you. So some questions I can ask you: if you're somebody who likes to solve problems, you like taking things apart and finding out how they work, and maybe you like to work on teams, to work together, to work toward a shared purpose, then maybe engineering could be a good fit for you. Now, if you're ready to get started on this journey, our roadmap website will help you chart your path to becoming an engineer. So one of those steps, of course, is to complete a degree program from an accredited university like UBC. Before I move on, I'm just going to drop this link in the chat for you. So you can take a look at what that roadmap looks like. Now, when you're choosing a university, if you do decide to choose us here at UBC, of course, you'll be studying at one of Canada's best engineering schools. Now, of course, it's not just us saying that. Many others around the world also agree as well. And you'll see this reflected in our rankings amongst universities around the world. Now, if you choose to join us at UBC, of course, you'll be joining a university which is globally recognized for its excellence in teaching and research, as well as its global impact. So world university rankings such as Times Higher Education ranks UBC as #2 in Canada and within the top 40 universities in the world. Now, when you look at UBC Engineering specifically, Maclean's, one of our Canadian publications here, ranks UBC Engineering as the #2 engineering program in Canada. When you're looking at our co-op program, we're home to one of the largest co-op programs here over here in Western Canada. And when you look at world rankings like the QS World Rankings, UBC Engineering is ranked #31 globally of programs of its kind. So at UBC, our engineering program is offered at both our Okanagan campus in Kelowna and Point Grey campus in Vancouver. And really the choice is up to you. So you might decide to choose the Okanagan campus for their close-knit learning community, access to nature, and the overall sunny weather. Or you might choose our Vancouver campus for the bigger city and diverse amenities that a city can offer. Now, it really doesn't matter what campus, which campus that you do choose, you're going to get access to the same innovative project-based engineering education, which makes UBC engineering graduates stand out around the world. Now, at either campus, you're going to start off in the foundational first year. And this is where you're going to be taking courses that build up the foundation of your degree. So courses in things like engineering design, chemistry, physics, math, and English before continuing into your program and completing your degree at that campus. So you're going to be introduced to the engineering design cycle right away in your first year courses. Now, at the Vancouver campus, this can be through AppSci 100, where you're going to learn how to think like an engineer and what it means to be an engineer. Now, typically, the first group project that all students go through is the cardboard chair, where you're going to be challenged to design and build a chair using a 4-foot by 4-foot piece of cardboard, and you're not allowed to use any tapes or adhesives. And you and your classmates are going to be challenged to find new ways on how to hold a 250-pound boulder, for example, and you'll be graded on how much weight it can hold, the size of it, how comfortable it is, and how portable and how well it can be assembled and disassembled. These projects continue into term 2, where you'll do part 2, which is AppSci 101. And again, you're going to be challenged to design, build, and automate things. So one thing you're going to do is you're going to be challenged to build and automate a fully autonomous claw retrieval system. Now, again, your team will be judged on how many different objects that it can pick up, how precise they are, how well they work with other claws to be able to pick up larger objects. So through these experiences, you're going to be able to apply your technical skill in things like design, fabrication, and coding, but also working on those soft skills that all good engineers need. So things like teamwork, communication, and leadership. You're going to get experiences to apply all that to. Now, of course, this is also found at the Okanagan campus too. So they have a similar course called AppSci 169, where you're going to be learning more about sustainable engineering design, right? And you're going to be working on a variety of projects that have real world implications. And some of these teams and projects have gone to compete in challenges such as the Engineering Day Hackathon and the Aqua Hacking Challenge. In term 2 at the Okanagan campus, students will take AppSci 171, which focuses on engineering engineering drawing and 3D modeling. So typically there's a design challenge at the end of this, and the top 30 design teams, they go head to head in front of a panel of judges and industry partners. Last month, the students focused their design solutions for wildfires, and the winning team, they designed something called Ember Alert, which is a walking stick thermal probe, which I just learned about, and they're to help firefighters detect hotspots on the ground with it, so they can use this stick instead of using their hands. And so I do have a link of that. We did make a video of that, so you can take a look at what Ember Alert looks like, again, on YouTube. So overall, the foundational first year, you're going to be learning more about all the different programs and options before making your decision when going into year 2 and choosing your specialization. Now, students at both campuses, you're going to be able to pick your program near the end of first year. More on that in just a little bit. So overall, the foundational first year is really to help you learn more about the different program options. So many students, like Jazia here, use their first year to discover their passion and interest before selecting their program of study at the end of first year. So when it comes to programs, Did you know that UBC Engineering offers 14 different engineering disciplines across both campuses? You can start learning more about each program through our Explore Your Options page. This is going to be a really great resource where we have descriptions of each of our different programs. So maybe that can help you start discovering the different possibilities there. So we look at our School of Engineering at the Okanagan campus. The Okanagan campus currently offers 5 different engineering programs. So we got civil, computer, electrical, mechanical, and manufacturing engineering. Students will choose their program at the end of their foundational first year, as mentioned earlier. And at UBC Okanagan, engineering students are guaranteed placement in an engineering program that is accepting new students. So currently that is civil, computer, electrical, and mechanical. Just a small note, the manufacturing program is currently not accepting new students, but is still available at our Vancouver campus. So what does that mean for you? So for example, if you're after your foundational first year, if you're interested in civil engineering, you are guaranteed a seat in civil engineering, for example. Now, this is a little bit different at the Vancouver campus. So on the screen here, you'll see the 14 different engineering disciplines. So in addition to the 5, there are a few more others to choose from at the Vancouver campus. Now, in addition to the choices, another difference at Vancouver campus is that students will go through the engineering program placement process to determine their engineering discipline for year 2 and beyond. Now, this is a competitive process, and some programs may have additional requirements, such as an interview, or you may have to complete some specific course prerequisites before going into those specific disciplines. Now, overall, students will get much more information about the program placement process and requirements when they're in first year with us. So I'll share a quick link again for you to learn a little bit more about the engineering program placement process. Typically, in your first year, both campuses host a lot of program fairs, info sessions to help students choose the best fit for them. So if you don't know what you want to get into right now, that's perfectly okay. There's much more opportunity to find out more later on. Now, no matter what program you do decide to go into, you're going to have tons of opportunities to apply your learning and build your skills. So our experiential learning opportunities can take place in several forms. So when I shared a little bit about the coursework, it can be through coursework. Just like in first year, you're going to get engaged in a lot of team projects and labs to apply your learning. Students in fourth year have a capstone project to kind of consolidate all of their learning and apply everything they've learned over their degree while working with an industry partner. Another way is you can explore the world and go on exchange. So for example, like Sarah Han, who is a new graduate from our electrical engineering program at Vancouver campus. She did participate in UBC's exchange program and ended up studying at ETH Zurich in Switzerland, where she did some research with a mechanical engineering professor on exploring how different mechanical properties to help better characterize biomedical devices. She also did another term where she spent some time studying at the National University at Singapore and gained experience living in both Europe and Asia. Now, speaking about research, that's another way to be able to apply your learning and get paid as well. We have a student, Pavni, who is a graduate from our Okanagan campus. Now, during her time as a student, she worked as a research assistant at the Opera Lab. So the OPERA, that stands for Okanagan Polymer Engineering Research and Applications Lab. This is one of the many labs that students have access to across both of our campuses. And in this particular lab, they're looking at tackling challenges in sustainability and energy while doing some investigating and experimenting with different materials. So some of the things that they're working on will include like developing ice repellent services. That's very important here in Canada, where of course we have colder weather. And looking at developing more sustainable textiles modification, like things like waterproof jackets. And we're actually working with companies like Arc'teryx and Lululemon to be able to look into these different modifications. So again, one example of many labs and research centers that are housed across both of our campuses. During her time here, Pavni also did participate in co-op, where she worked full-time for companies such as Fortis BC. So if you're not familiar with companies in BC, Fortis BC is one of the companies that provide natural gas and electricity. So it's an energy company here. And she also worked at 2 engineering consulting companies as well. And now she works as an electrical designer at Smith & Anderson, which is an engineering consulting firm with offices across Canada. Now, co-op is a fantastic way to not just apply your learning, but you get to get paid and gain real life work experience before you even graduate. Now, our co-op program I mentioned at the start is one of the largest co-op programs in Western Canada, and it does provide students the opportunity to get over 16 months of paid full-time work experience. So it doesn't matter which campus you decide to study at. Again, all students have access to the same co-op opportunities on the same job board. Now on the screen, you'll see some of our stats from the past year. So some of our top employers include things like Tech Resources, Metro Vancouver, Leadcore Group, just to name a few. If students want to take their co-op experience abroad, we've also had 128 students work internationally across 23 different countries. Last year, our students secured over 3,000 different work terms. And when you combine all the earnings, our average earnings for our co-op students across 4 work terms was just over 68,000 Canadian dollars. So here are just some examples of jobs that have been shared on our co-op job board for our students. Again, students across both campuses have access to the same co-op opportunities. So maybe if you're interested in game design, there was a position with electronic arts. Maybe you want to go into robotics. We had a robot optics intern. So a lot of variety in the different positions available to our students, and a great way for you to be able to apply your learning, figure out what you like or don't like, and build and expand your professional network, all while still a UBC engineering student. So that is a brief glimpse of what the learning experience at UBC Engineering could look like for you. Of course, there's so much more, but I only have so much time with you here. At the end, we're going to be able to share more online resources with you so you can actually still further your research. But at this time, I'm now going to invite Juliana to join us on screen now, and then she can talk a little bit about her experience as a UBC engineering student. So over to you, Juliana.
Thank you, Franco. Hello again, everyone. Now moving on to what it actually means to be a UBC engineering student, I want to talk to you a little bit about what it's like, the student life here, and the overall experience students have. So I think as a UBC engineering student, you get to obviously learn a lot about engineering, physics, math, stuff like that. But one of the key things is that UBC engineering allows you to experiment and have fun with the stuff you're learning. Just to keep on the same topic as Franco of the cardboard care and the foundational first year, in AppSci 101, which is the continuation of AppSci 100, I got to work on this amazing project called the simulation of rainwater harvesting systems for the Van Anda community. So the teams got to simulate and use different options to try and supply the amount of water the community needed as they're an isolated island. For example, we had different options on, for example, where to put our collection tank or how big we wanted the collection tank, which energy we wanted to use, if solar, diesel, or maybe a mix of both. All of these different options altered the simulation in different ways, but all of them had to satisfy the amount of water required and stay within the budget. So it was a pretty fun challenge. And at the end, every team submits their spreadsheets. And what's really cool about this design is at the end, the AppSci professors run their internal simulations and values and actually rank all of the different teams in engineering for that year. And not to brag, but my team ranked 7th out of every other team, which was awesome. It was an amazing grade. But it was also so much fun to get to see like how different options can alter a project in many different ways. Now, continuing on to some of the awesome student experience, we already know that the biggest advantage of UBC engineering is the foundational first year, but there are many things that make UBC engineering unique, and in my opinion, one of the best. I am in environmental engineering, and after deciding on my program, I got to customize my education to classes I enjoyed more. For example, Civil 215 is fluid mechanics, and I know it sounds so hard. Like fluid mechanics, I read that when I was registering for the course. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so hard. But little did I know, it was going to be one of my favorite classes in second year. I remember our prof used different clips or movies to introduce topics in fluid mechanics. So he used a clip of The Hunger Games, which is my favorite movie, to introduce spiles. And it was so funny, and it was just a perfect day. And like my favorite class using my favorite movie as an introduction. And to highlight some of the projects I worked in second year, we got to work on this pipeline project at the end of fluid mechanics, where we designed, we modeled, and calculated a pipeline that was hundreds of kilometers long in Australia. And the amount of joy I got when I changed the diameter of my pipeline and it reduced my price in half is uncomparable. It was amazing. So, as you can see, I've talked a lot about the classes, so you can see how exciting and interesting they are to me. Now, moving on to what I think makes UBC engineering the best, and that is the community and how it allows you to get involved. UBC engineering is very diverse. You can ask any UBC engineering student, and they will have different experiences, friends, clubs, activities, design teams, and I can promise you, not one is going to be exactly the same. For community, UBC Engineering has the first year mentoring program, which I participated in, and it just supported me in choosing environmental engineering. But we also have student clubs and design teams. So, for example, I am in the Thunderbird dance team, and it is essential for me as it allows me to keep my life balanced. The EMS has over 400 clubs, and my biggest advice is for you to join one of them. Additionally, if that's not enough, incoming students can come to Jumpstart, which is a 3-day orientation program, which allows you to start building this community. And UBC also helps you develop your professional career. There are networking nights for each program where you can actually make networking connections that can probably get you a job. And if not, there's also other opportunities like work learn or careers online that will show you as a student to the engineering field and employers. But if this is not enough, you can also get involved with engineering related clubs. And I want to highlight the design teams in Vancouver and Okanagan. These on screen are the design teams in Vancouver. So one of the most popular ones are Formula or Super Mileage, which are vehicle design teams. But one of my favorite ones is UBC Seismic, which they create wooden structures and then they put them to the test in earthquake simulators, and that's how they compete. But then you can also join design teams in UBC Okanagan, in the Okanagan campus. So some of the Okanagan campus design teams are Okanagan Motorsport or UBCO Aerospace. Franco, if you could go to the next slide. Thank you. So these are some of the design teams. And we also have the Great Northern Concrete Toboggan team, which if we go to the next slide, you can actually see that they won the first place in their competition this last year. So this just goes to show that UBC engineering design teams push you to achieve amazing stuff and gaining hands-on experience. Overall, what I'm trying to say is that UBC engineering allows you to be part of something big. They allow you to proactively learn and actually work towards your dreams. But yeah, that's my little speech. So now I want to hand it over to Marie to talk to you a little bit about our admissions process.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Franco and Juliana. They did a really good job providing an overview of our programs and what you can do outside of class for that student experience. And now we're going to get to some of the nitty-gritty around admissions. I've seen that there's been a few questions already in the Q&A, so I'll probably be answering some of those questions right now in these slides coming up. So before I get too much into the prerequisite of courses, I just want to take a step back and talk about the different pathways that exist for students to enter UBC engineering. So of course, the first one is direct entry. So students can apply directly to either of the UBC campuses from high school. Students can also choose to start their education at another post-secondary institution. This is a really great option if you want to stay closer to home for your first year after high school, or if you don't quite have the GPA to get into first year engineering at UBC. There are a few different transfer programs that students can explore, including the engineering transfer program and the common first year transfer routes. These programs allow students to complete their first year of engineering at a partner institution before transferring to UBC. There's also options available to attend a bridging program, which is typically a 2-year program, 2.5 at another institution. And these programs allow students to complete a technology diploma first at that partner institution, and then you'll transfer to UBC for the remainder of your Bachelor's of Applied Science degree. I recommend that students interested in any transfer options check out our webpage for more information about GPA requirements if you're interested in transferring and those timeline requirements. So if you're an Indigenous student, UBC's Aboriginal admission policy aims to increase accessibility to Indigenous students. We recommend reviewing our Aboriginal Access Studies program and the UBC Langara Transfer Partnership, as these are additional pathways to study at UBC. And the last thing I want to talk about for this slide today is academically outstanding international students who do not meet the English language admission requirements may still be admissible through our Vantage One program. So I know I reviewed a lot of today about all those different admissions routes, but today we're going to be specifically speaking about admission requirements for students entering directly from high school. So high school students should plan to apply in their grade 12 year. We highly encourage you to apply before December 1st, as this is the first round offer deadline, but the final deadline to apply is January 15th. If you aren't in grade 12 yet, no worries. The following slides that you're going to see are going to be very helpful in planning out your high school courses leading up to that grade 12 year. So next, I'm going to be talking about what a lot of questions we're seeing in the Q&A already, and that's about the requirements to apply to UBC, specifically for the Bachelor of Applied Science, which is what we call our engineering degrees at UBC. Please note that these requirements that I'm going to be talking about today are for students interested in starting their degree in September 2026. So for the Okanagan campus, applicants will need to review the general UBC requirements first, which include meeting UBC's English language requirement, as well as all students need to graduate from high school, and it is also recommended to take at least 6 courses at the grade 12 level. On this screen, you'll see a nice chart here that shows the Bachelor of Applied Science degree specific requirements for the Okanagan campus. And this is broken down right now for students from British Columbia, Alberta, and Ontario, and includes the grade 11 and grade 12 courses. But you can view the full list of requirements for all the provinces and countries around the world on our website. I can see Franco has just put that link in the chat if you want to find the ones for where you are from. So the Vancouver requirements are very similar. There is general UBC admissions requirements as well as the degree specific. The biggest difference for those general requirements is at the Vancouver campus, there is an additional general requirement to meet a minimum of 70% in grade 11 or grade 12 English. The grade 11 and grade 12 degree specific requirements at the UBC Vancouver campus are listed on this slide, and they are the same as the Okanagan campus. Like I said before, if you're located outside of British Columbia, Alberta, or Ontario, you can view those course codes using the link that Franco just put in the chat. So what is important to note here is that the degree specific requirements are like a checklist that will need to be completed by the end of your grade 12 year, but you do not need to have them completed before you apply. So for both campuses, UBC will also consider the type of courses you took in high school. So what they're looking for is, did you pursue all of your academic interests by taking a range of different subjects? Did you challenge yourself by taking academic courses, advanced courses, or first year university courses? Did you demonstrate knowledge in your chosen area of study by taking courses related to the degree you applied to at UBC? So what I'd like to note is these components are not required for admission, but they can strengthen a student's application because they show the breadth, depth, and relevancy of the courses that you took in high school. And then just as a reminder here, if you're not from BC, go to that website there and you can see all of this information on there. You can review it, so you don't have to worry about memorizing this today. All of this is listed on the UBC applying website. So I know the next question that many people have is, how is my application assessed by UBC? So admissions is based on a combination of the personal profile and the academic profile. So there's no specific grade that's going to ensure you get in. What we recommend is spending time on your personal profile and trying to do as well as you can in all of your grade 11 and 12 courses. And this will help you to be the most competitive that you can be for admission. Your personal profile will consist of your short essay questions on the application and will give you a chance to really highlight the experiences you've had outside of the classroom. The personal profile should be more focused on reflection and what you've learned than the number of experiences you've had. And I also want to note here for the personal profile, what you're sharing does not have to be related to engineering. Many students share things about sports they're involved with, or a job that they have, or a personal experience that they've had throughout their life. So you don't have to worry about creating these specific or making sure you join a club or join something like to get that specific engineering experience. The personal profile is really for us to get to know you. So your academic profile will look at both your overall and your core academic assessment. These will consider all grade 11 and 12 academic courses, regardless of which year you took those courses. And a focus will be on the grade 12 level course if it's available at the time of assessment. The core course assessment will include all of the degree specific courses you saw on the previous slides, but can also include any other academic courses that fall into the categories of language arts, mathematics and computation, and sciences. So for those of you that already know that you want to apply in the fall, or if you're thinking about it, when you are ready to apply, you're going to go to Education Planner BC to get started. You'll start by providing your basic information, and then we'll be able to proceed to selecting UBC as the school that you are applying to. You'll be able to select two choices on your application. This could mean choosing the Bachelor of Applied Science at both the Okanagan campus and the Vancouver campus, or you could choose a second program like arts or science at the same campus. So this might look at like choosing Bachelor of Applied Science Okanagan as choice one and Bachelors of Science at the Okanagan campus as choice two. We recommend that you carefully consider which program you prefer, as your first choice program will always be assessed first. Your second choice program will only be considered if you are not eligible to your first choice program. So the images shown here on this slide are examples from last year's application period. Applications for the next year will be opening at the end of September, beginning of October, and the term selection for this will be the 2026-2027 winter, September to April. So the last thing I want to talk to you about today before we move into the Q&A is scholarships and awards. So there are many different scholarships and awards offered at UBC. This slide outlines just some of the major awards for domestic and international students. You can find more information about each of these awards by visiting the website that's on the bottom of this slide. I do want to note that there are different deadlines and different application requirements for the awards shown on this slide. We recommend that you review each award to ensure that you're submitting all the requirements for the application and by the required deadline. I specifically want to talk about the International Scholars Program. For this one, a student will need to be nominated by their school or a nonprofit, and applications to the International Scholars Program actually need to be submitted by November 15th, which is before our first round offer deadline. And students who have applied to this need to apply to UBC by the December 1st deadline. So lots of things for you to explore and look into over the next few months as you're considering applying to UBC. Scholarships are really a great chance at free money, and so we really encourage students to look at the scholarships available at UBC, but also to look for external scholarships. You can look up great keywords such as engineering, STEM, tech, and for female identifying students, you can search women in engineering or women in STEM. So before we go into the Q&A, I just want to take a minute to imagine what the world would be like without engineers. There would be no buildings, no bridges, no cell phones, no life-saving devices, no transportation. Life is pretty good in this moment, but engineers work every day to make our lives better than what they are right now. Engineers improve the environment, our technology, our medicine. They build solutions to solve our problems and to make the world a better place. Just think about all the great things that you could do as an engineer. So that wraps up the presentation from Franco, Juliana, and myself. The remainder of the session today is going to be open for Q&A from all of you to get as many questions as we can answered about UBC Engineering. I can see there are many questions already in the Q&A, but if you haven't opened that yet and you haven't looked at it, you might want to take a peek there, see if there's any questions that you want to upvote to bring them to the top. As a reminder, we are sorting these by the questions that are upvoted. So if you want to see a question answered, please upvote that. And if you have a question that is not on there yet, please feel free to add it and people can upvote it to bring that to the top. Franco and I will be answering the questions today, but we also have Juliana here, so please feel free to enter any student experience questions. She is happy to answer any of those questions that from her personal experience about what it's like to be a student in UBC Engineering. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Franco, because I haven't had a chance to check that Q&A in a little bit, and maybe you have a few questions already queued up here for us.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, definitely. I see a lot of people upvoting the questions, so let's get right into it. These few questions, I believe, have been kind of covered by Marie while she's gone through the admission stuff. So the first top most upvoted question right now is, what classes should you be taking in your senior year to prepare for your engineering degree? Right. Definitely go check out the admission requirement link that I just shared in the chat. Based on your curriculum, we'll be able to list exactly kind of what courses our admissions teams will be looking for you to be considered for admission for our UBC engineering programs. So classes, making sure that you, of course, take the English courses, the required math courses. The related courses Marie had also mentioned as well. So particular courses that are particularly relevant to this degree, anything that is related to like languages, math and computation, and science. Those are courses that will be given extra attention when we look at your applications as well. So definitely check out our requirements pages to learn more about that. Next one is also very closely related to kind of what do I need for my engineering application? Talking about extracurriculars and how grades are weighted. So Marie had also touched upon that as well. UBC does use that holistic approach when we look at evaluating applications, right? So having good grades is a really important part about that, but also your achievements outside of the classroom are also going to be things that will be considered. Things like, did you challenge yourself with the course choices that you made in high school? Were the courses that you took related to engineering, for example, in this? Those are all considered when our admissions teams are evaluating applications, right? So that page where I shared what UBC Engineering looks for, there is a short video there, and that will summarize kind of how UBC will evaluate everyone's application when they come in. So definitely check that out because I would imagine that a lot of your answers that you're looking for will be found on that page as well. All right, the next question is a little bit more about industry. Now, there have been many layoffs for computer and software engineering because of AI. Should you be concerned if that's the engineering that you want to go into? Now, I'm not in the industry, so I can't offer you that in-person kind of industry perspective. But usually, just in general, we look at industries and employments and stuff like that. All industries kind of go through their ups and downs. And sometimes new technologies cause those disruptions, right? But usually what we see is industries adapt to that. And then there will be new opportunities that come up for that as well. Here at UBC, we do have a lot of research that is going into artificial intelligence. So if you do a quick search, you'll see all the different great work that we are doing with artificial intelligence and looking at how that can inform and be able to make improvements to everyday lives as well. So artificial intelligence, definitely a new tool. I think that is coming into the market. I'm sure a lot of you are using it in various ways in your learning as well. And kind of what the opportunities look like for it with AI is still to be discovered, right? And that is what a lot of our professors and research assistants and masters and PhD students are looking at to see how can we use AI to essentially benefit everyone. So I would maybe kind of think of it from another perspective. Yes, it is a disruptive technology, but there are so many opportunities that haven't been found from that just yet. So that's kind of just my perspective on that one. I don't know, Marie, Liana, any other thoughts?
I just was going to say the only other thing I recommend students do, like Franco was saying, there's ups and downs, but also engineering programs are very large and there's many different job opportunities within each specialization or program. So you might see variation or changes in one sector of that, while another sector may be hiring. So doing a little bit of research and seeing all these other type of jobs that fall under that category can be really helpful to see maybe to where the industry is heading. I also recommend that students chat with industry at industry nights. They chat with professors and learn about the new innovations and what is coming forward. So during their education, during their time at UBC, they can be getting those co-ops, doing that research and building those skills where industry needs you when you graduate.
Awesome, thanks, Marie.
Yeah, I
The
think
next, yeah, go ahead, Liana.
just to add a little bit on that, I think regardless of which engineering program you go into, UBC Engineering will teach you creative ways to solve any different problem. It can be like scientific problems, it can be like, I don't know, any like solutions to solve any problem. So basically, if you're worried about AI coming for electrical or computer
Mute my
engineering,
audio.
regardless of which engineering you choose, you're still having this valuable problem-solving skill that can be applied to any other field. Even if you are an electrical engineer, you could solve problems in any other field because you have these skills.
So yeah. Awesome. So going back to our Q&A, give me 1 second. I just lost the window. Okay. Next most upvoted question I have here is, in addition to some required courses like English 12, Pre-Calculus 12, Chemistry 12, Physics 12, now these are all BC courses, what elective courses would you recommend to strengthening students' university application? So very similar answer to what I kind of talked about earlier with just what other courses that we'll look at in particular for an engineering application, right? Any related courses such as in areas like language arts, math, sciences, those would be courses that we would consider particularly relevant for this degree. So those are some of the other courses that students consider taking.
And just to add to that, Franco, there are some like applied design or
Yes.
computing courses that are useful for students to take because they're very interested in that. It builds maybe 3D modeling skills or hands-on skills if you're taking things like automotive to understand really how something is built and maybe the problems of working with vehicles if you're interested in that area. Those grades may not be used for your overall or your core assessment, but they're great things in your breadth, depth, and relevancy. They're great things to add into your personal profile and just a great thing to expand your knowledge to be just a more well-rounded engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer, that's my background, and I took a lot of like trades like automotive when I was in high school, and that was super helpful for me throughout my degree. So outside of those academic courses, there's a lot of more like hands-on design courses that can also just be super useful later when you're in the engineering degree.
Awesome, thank you. All right, next most upvoted question is with regards to how UBC considers courses like AP courses. and how those courses are considered when reviewing applications. So if you take a look at the What We Look For website, which I dropped in the chat earlier, there is a section which talks a little bit about course choices. And some of the questions that are asked there, one of the questions there is, did you challenge yourself by taking academic courses, advanced courses, or first-year university courses, right? And so when looking at like courses like AP courses, our admissions team will consider that when looking at that question, like, did you challenge yourself? So it would be considered when reviewing applications in that way.
I just want to add though to that is deciding to take an AP course is definitely a personal choice of how many courses you take that are AP. Remember that you're still being assessed on the grade that you have in that course. So it's not about taking all AP courses, it's being strategic about the AP courses you take to show that higher level of knowledge without changing or lowering your grade too much for taking that more difficult course. If that's something that could potentially happen for a specific course, you might be a little bit more strategic of which courses you decide to take as an AP level. The other thing is some AP IB courses actually come in as first year credit. So you might be able to get transfer credit for some of these courses. So that can be a big plus for a lot of students. At the Okanagan campus, we only accept 5 courses for AP IB credit. Franco, I don't know if you have information about the Vancouver campus. I don't have that on hand, sorry, right
Yeah, I
now.
don't have that on
Um,
hand either. But what I can do is I can share kind of what that first year credit transfer could look like, the equivalency tables. So I can put that in the chat.
Yeah, so Franco will add those in the chat so you can kind of see if you would like to take an AP or IB course because you want some first year credit, what that might look like for you in your first year. And then sometimes students just take a reduced course load that first year. Other students potentially can take some second year courses or a humanities elective in those spaces, just depending on your schedule.
Yeah, definitely
I
chat
see.
with your school counselors, your guidance counselors. They're a great resource to kind of help you plan out what courses that you should be taking or you can take to be able to set you up for success when it comes to kind of what your goals are for post-secondary after high school.
I see, Franco. There's a question along these lines related to grade 11 marks.
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate that UBC does look at both grade 11 and grade 12 marks in those degree-specific requirement courses and courses in general. However, they will put more emphasis on the grade 12 mark if that is available. And it doesn't matter when you've taken this course. If you've taken a grade 11 course when you're in grade 10, they're still going to look at your marks in your grade 11 and grade 12 courses.
Thank you.
Um,
All right. Oh, right now, I see the next most popular question right now is also related to extracurriculars for high school students. There's no one type of extracurricular that is kind of like the, the one that will that everyone is looking for UBC Engineering when it comes to admissions. Of course, any extracurriculars, your achievements outside of school, those can be talked about in your personal profile. So it could be like a sport or something that you're volunteering. But recognizing that maybe some people are also maybe caregivers at home. Those are things that can also be talked about in the personal profiles. What I would recommend is if you are looking for more information about personal profiles, there is a website. I can find that and drop that in the chat. But also in the fall, so later on in the fall season, September, October, November, our central UBC recruitment teams will also host personal profile workshops as well. And those are super beneficial because they will literally go through all the personal profile questions, and then they'll go through some sample question and answers with you. So you'll be able to get some tips and tricks with how you can write out your personal profile to be able to showcase any achievements that you want to share with our admissions team. So let me get that personal profile website right now.
Perfect. While you're doing that, Franco, I'll go to the next question here, which is, are summer school courses or online courses less appealing than courses taken in school, which I'm going to assume is mean like during the normal school year at your school? So this is something I'd recommend you chat with UBC admissions about specifically. So there is specific course codes and specific content that needs to be covered in those high school courses to be recognized by UBC as that meeting that specific degree specific requirement courses. So if you're thinking of taking an online course and you're not sure if it's meeting that requirement, you can talk to your counselor for sure at the high school that you're at. You can also reach out to UBC admissions to just ask if you have any questions about that course to make sure that it's going to meet those degree specific requirements for the program that you're interested in. Anything from you, Franco?
Oh, sounds good.
So the next question is about
Yes.
program placement. Um, Do you mind if I go first? It doesn't
Sure.
specify which campus, and
Yeah.
then I'll pass it over to you. So the question is,
Yeah.
what happens if a student is interested in civil engineering, but they do not get into their choice of engineering, or they force go into a stream you are not interested in? And what is the main requirement to get into civil engineering? So I just want to reiterate at the UBC Okanagan campus, engineering students are guaranteed placement in the engineering program of choice. So we have civil, electrical, computer, and mechanical engineering that's available. So in this instance, if you're interested in civil engineering, you will be guaranteed a seat in civil engineering. At the UBC Vancouver campus, there is a competitive program placement process, and I'm just going to pass that over to Franco to clarify a little bit more for how this would work if you, for some reason, didn't get your first choice.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking from the Vancouver campus, when you are going through the engineering program placement process, um, what when students are so as part of the process, all students will be asked to submit an engineering program placement form, and on that form, you will rank all of your you'll rank the different engineering disciplines based on your preference. So, for example, if it is civil engineering, then you will rank that first, and how students are placed, it's going to be based on grades and also a personal statement as well. So our programs will look at students' grades. They'll take a look at the 500-word personal statement that all students need to submit. Those are both put together for an aggregated score, and then students are placed into programs based on that. Now, what I will say is an overwhelming majority of students do get one of their top 2 or 3 choices when it comes to the program placement process. So for example, if a student is interested in civil engineering, but unfortunately, maybe in this scenario, they don't get their first choice, then they'll look at their second choice. Now, one other thing I want to mention is it may seem like that each engineering discipline is kind of on its own and that you don't touch upon other different engineering disciplines, and that's absolutely not true. A lot of engineering disciplines, they do cross over and work together. So an example of that is, for example, environmental engineering, the program that Juliana does, is very closely related to civil engineering, for example. So you will still get elements of being able to work with civil engineers if you do decide to pursue something like environmental engineering. For example, like environmental engineering, you'll be looking at like design systems for water and wastewater treatment in a building, for example, right? That is related to civil engineering as well. So even if you're in one stream, doesn't mean you're never going to touch another stream as well. I see Juliana's nodding. I don't know. Do you have anything else to add to that?
Something I would just add is like you also have in all of UBC engineering programs um a certain amount of technical electives you can take. And this is just a way to further like customize your degree. So for example, if I wanted to do I don't know, civil engineering, but I got into environmental engineering, I could take technical electives that would be in the normal curriculum of a civil engineering student. And this would help me achieve that interest, my original interest in civil engineering. So it's definitely not like how Franco was saying, like they're all isolated and not related at all. No, they're part of the same faculty, and you can take courses of other programs if you want to.
Awesome. And one other thing, something I mentioned early in the presentation as well, is that first year is really gonna kind of open your eyes to the different possibilities. So you may be going into first year thinking civil engineering is something I really want to do, but you're going to have tons of opportunities to chat with upper year students, professors in other disciplines, and so you'll get ample opportunity again to get to know the different disciplines, and then maybe, who knows, at the end of it, maybe you choose something else. Maybe you do want to do environmental engineering, for example. So it's good that you have a direction, but also be open to all the different opportunities that may come up to you, may be presented to you in your first year. Okay. Oh, hold on.
I'm going to share the next question with you.
Yes, please. Sorry, I just lost a window.
No worries. So aside from engineering classes, what are electives that can complement the engineering degree? So for both campuses, there is an opportunity to take humanities electives, and we can share some links in the chat to show you an example of what those humanities electives may be. They do range. There's some languages, there's economics, there's like at Okanagan campus, there's a health course. So really, this is for you to expand your knowledge outside of the applied science. Maybe Juliana, have you done your humanities electives? Maybe you want to share the ones that you selected?
I actually got IB credits for both of my humanities
Mhm.
requirements. So that's one of the benefits of doing IB or AP. However, I think a lot of students in UBC Engineering at the Vancouver campus, what I've seen chosen is psychology, philosophy. One I was personally interested in, and I answered a question about it, was American Sign Language. Super cool, super fun. But yeah, you can customize your degree with humanities electives from a lot of different options at both campuses.
I'm just putting these links in the chat here while I pass it over to you, Franco, for the next question.
So next question I see over here is regards to admissions for repeated courses. Actually, I'm not too familiar with that actually, with how, I don't know, Marie, do you have an answer for that as well? How repeated
No,
retaking courses? Okay,
that's definitely an admissions question directly. So I definitely
sure.
recommend if a student is planning to retake the course, or I can see this is the person from like maybe a specific high school. If you're having questions about retaking a course and how that is assessed, I would definitely recommend reaching out to the admissions team directly to see how that is assessed by UBC. There may be some nuances there as well, so I'm just hesitant to answer that.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, contact our admissions teams, and they should be able to get an answer for you on that one.
There's
Okay,
a
look at that.
question
We got
here.
2 minutes left. Marie, do you have a question you want to get to?
Well, there's just the next one that I saw that was had the most votes. I thought maybe Juliana might be able to just like provide some context here around the workload, work-life balance. The question is it hard? But I like just to expand that a bit. If you can talk about workload, work-life balance, and maybe some tips, I think that'd be a nice thing to share about what you've learned throughout your degree.
Yeah, definitely. I think going into UBC engineering or engineering as a whole, you're very scared and you're like intimidated. Everyone says it's hard, everyone says it's like impossible. But I can assure you it's not. Like you'll get through it. It's definitely how I would phrase it, it's a challenging degree. So it is meant to push you. It is meant to put you in situations so you can learn best and apply all of the stuff you have learned. So you will have maybe you're taking an additional course to students in other faculties, but that doesn't make it harder. What makes it hard is or challenging is how you balance your life and how you manage your time. So I think the biggest tip I always give is to have your time management skills top notch, but also get involved in other clubs or design teams or any other association you can join, because this will push you to actually time out your days and your weeks and your months and plan ahead, as you will be busy and you will try to satisfy all of the homework or study ahead for exams. So it is definitely like an a degree that will challenge you, and there will obviously be ups and lows. That's how I would put it. You'll definitely have sometimes where it's harder than other times, but it's not impossible. And it is meant to make you successful, and is meant to make you become an engineer. So it is not trying to make your life impossible. It is actually trying to improve you and uh, allow for growth for you as an engineer and as a person as a whole. So I would just say it's a matter of time management, a balanced life, and yeah, just challenging yourself as well to try your hardest. That's how I would put it.
Awesome, amazing. So looking at the time, we have reached 6 o'clock, so we will have to wrap up our session for today. So I see there's still a lot of questions in the Q&A, but what you can do is we're still here to be able to help you get answers to those questions. So on the screen over here, you'll see a couple of online resources. So the first column is related to Vancouver campus, and the second column is related to our Okanagan campus. So on the first row, you'll see our both of our websites. So if you're interested in reading up more on some engineering program information, you can visit our websites on the top. If you want to check out some previous recordings or projects our students are working on, you can check us out on YouTube at UBC Engineering for Vancouver campus, and also UBCO Engineering for Okanagan specific engineering content as well. And then on the last row, you'll see both of our campus emails. So if you have a question with regards to studying at UBC Engineering Vancouver, you can send us an email at outreach@apsc.ubc.ca. And if you're interested in studying at the Okanagan campus, engineering.okanagan@ubc.ca will be your resource, and we'll make sure we get an answer to you through there. Any final kind of notes or things anyone wants to share before we wrap up today's session?
Just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. We're really happy you took the time to come learn a little bit more about engineering at both of our campuses. We appreciate all the questions, and like Franco said, please feel free to send those in to us. We are happy to answer those. There are a few that are more specific that will be easier for us to answer via email as well. So please feel free to reach out, and we're looking forward to answering your questions, and hopefully we'll see you back at some of our sessions in the fall and on campus in the next few years.
Awesome. So thank you, Marie. Thank you, Juliana, for spending some time with our guests here today. And thank you for joining and showing interest in studying at UBC Engineering. I wish you the best of luck with with your remainder of your school year. Hope you all have a fantastic summer break, and we hope to see you on campus in the near future. So again, thank you everyone here, and have a great evening.